Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running, and today we're going to do a comparison review or should I upgrade episode of the Adidas Takumi Sen 10 versus the Adidas Takumi Sen 11. So this has always, or at least for the last couple of years, been the lighter, kind of more middle to shorter distance racing shoe in the Adidas lineup, although short distance wise, the new Adidas Adios 9 has really taken that place because it's really changed. But this shoe has kind of had a couple different personalities over its lifetime. The original shoe, the original two, were awesome. They were classic Japanese racing shoes. They looked awesome, and they had the versatility that people used them from the 5K all the way up to the marathon. And I wasn't running marathons at that point when I had them, but 5K to half marathon, did a lot of stuff, a lot of paces that I wish I could still do. But it was a really awesome shoe. Then it evolved over the next couple of years with boosts, and it kind of wasn't the same. And then we got brought to the Light Strike Pro version. And so despite this, to be honest with you, this shoe's still been a little bit on the firmer side, really hasn't had the bounce that you would associate with super shoes, which some people like. I didn't really, and I didn't really see kind of where this might fit for, other than wanting a more simple shoe that was more moderate stack height. Version 11 really changes that. While the stack height's similar, the new Light Strike Pro Mister is so much softer and bouncier that it really sits in that super shoe, moderate super shoe category, and that really makes these shoes very different. So the purpose of this review to help you figure out, hey, if you're interested in either one of these, which one might work better for you? Should you consider maybe the new one with the softer foam? Should you consider the older one that's gonna be now like $100 on sale? Which one is best to consider, because which one's gonna work better for your mechanics? We're gonna try to answer that looking at the midsole, the upper, overall stability, and then hopefully land this. So let's start off with specs in my men's size 10 first. The Adidas Takumi Sen 10 is coming in at 7.4 ounces, or about 210 grams. The new one, Takumi Sen 11, is coming in at 200 grams or 7 ounces. So there's a good weight drop, despite having the same stack height of 33 millimeters in the heel, 26 in the forefoot for a 7 millimeter drop. So, but that's kind of where the similarities end, because like I said, the two different Light Strike Pro midsoles, totally different. Over here, and there's some geometry that also might influence that. But in terms of just the midsole feel underfoot, this version is going to be a little bit more firm. It's not the firmest thing, but it just didn't have a lot of bounce for me. A lot of it came from it just being a little lighter, though it's not the lightest shoe on the market, even when this category. It just came more from just being a little bit more stiff and a little bit lighter. But version 11, the Light Strike Pro, is so much softer and bouncier, and I felt that immediately. It's a shoe that I'm more likely to race in. I did race in version 10 on a cross-country course, which was not a good idea, because unfortunately it's not very stable for me, and I'll explain why in just a second, but it was better than wearing cross-country spikes and injuring myself. So hey, I did survive. Didn't race well, but I did survive. The version 11, yes, it's going to be a lot more bouncy. I've really enjoyed it more for intervals, for tempo runs. This is a shoe that I did some stuff in, but for the most part, I really didn't enjoy that much from a responsiveness perspective, whereas now this is going to give you a lot more bounce. I'd be more likely to take this shoe longer now, just because the cushioning is quite a bit better and has quite a bit, not only bounce, but protective feeling underfoot, whereas this one I would have relegated to 5K and under. This, some people actually might be able to take this up for the marathon. Elite runners that can do well with just more moderate stack height, marathon probably, but most of us are going to be using this for 10K on downwards, and it's got the bounciness. This version, I think also version 10, with the sole being stiffer, the shoe just felt stiff overall. Didn't have as good of a transition, and part of that was also there's a little bit of posterior heel flare right here, which when you hit the ground for me, just kind of made it clunky, and there's quite a bit of lateral, not only lateral sole flare, but the rods were really stiff with the midsole. It just immediately pushed me inwards. The forefoot kind of caught me a little bit, but it's still, I had a hard time going long in this shoe. The softer foam in version 11 really, and especially the fact there's not a posterior heel flare. The heel is much better beveled, and a lot of Adidas shoes have a decent bevel, but this one is much better without having that sole flare. And when the shoe breaks in, I don't get pushed as much that way. Is the midfoot and heel still narrow? Yes, but the even wider forefoot is much more stable for me, and there is a mild medial sidewall that actually helps catch me a little bit. And it just transitions so much smoother, keeps me a little more centered, although these are both very much neutral shoes. And with the softer midsole, this shoe actually has a little bit more flex. Now, if you put it in your hand, that's not the same, but when you're running, which running, you put 4 to 5 times your body weight through your foot with every step, if not higher, you actually get a little bit more bend here. So people that have toe mobility issues, this shoe is not going to work. Even though it feels stiff in hand, the fiberglass Energy Rod 2.0s do bend and snap back. So I get a lot more bounce and snap forward with this shoe, which makes it a lot better for some of the shorter distance stuff stuff, like intervals, like longer tempo runs, the variety. This shoe just kind of felt stiff and firmer. So if that's something you like, if you don't like bouncy foams, version 10 is going to be better. But if you like that and the much smoother transition that feels better getting into a rhythm and picking up the pace, the Adidas Takumi Sen 11 is such a massive upgrade in that department and just feels so much easier to pick up the pace and bounce along at only 180 bucks, which is really not bad, and only $20 than what the original Takumi Sen was like 10, 15 years ago. So not a bad deal still, and durability, by the way, is awesome. That bounce, again, really great in version 11, but if you don't like that, this one's gonna be better. In terms of the upper fit, these shoes are also fairly different. While the actual sizing is fairly similar, they both fit true to size. My men's size 10 fits like a men's size 10 on a racing shoe. Version 10 has just a little bit more room with the mesh. Now, they both have a surprising amount of room for a racing flat. I will say there's a teeny bit more width in version 11. Version 10, though, has a little bit more volume because this mesh actually stretches a little bit. Version 11, while I like this, the woven mesh doesn't breathe as well, so your feet are going to get a little bit hot in this. And I've noticed in Oregon right now, it's getting up to about 100 degrees, and so my feet will sweat in this version. So if you're in a colder temperature, you don't mind a warmer upper, version 11 is going to be fine, but if you do, version 10 is going to be a lot more breathable. The other thing I really love about these shoes, still, regardless of which version, they don't have heel counters. It's great for somebody with a sensitive heel like me or a Haglund deformity where you got a little bump that's kind of irritable because maybe your Achilles is pulling a little bit and that area is a little bit sensitive. Both of them don't have a heel counter, but the heel lockdown is a little better in version 10. There's a little bit more room over in the heel in version 11, so really make sure you lock that down. Fortunately, the tongue is much better in version 11 because it is gusseted the whole way. I had a little tongue slippage over in version 10 because it's not. It's a free-floating tongue. If you don't like gusseting, version 10. But if you want a little more secure midfoot, a little bit more room in the heel, having to lock that down, you can go with version 11. But overall, version 10 is actually a great deal if you want a more traditional racing flat. Yes, it's 33 millimeters. Yeah, that's not low stack height. I totally get it. But it's a little bit firmer, not as bouncy, and it's gonna come in at a great price in a lot of places. But if you want that super shoe feel in a moderate stack height with really good durability, this light traction stuff is awesome. Adidas, this is great. I don't think I would use this on trail though, just because there is a little bit more exposed midsole, but who knows, right? It's comfortable enough, it's snappy enough, variety of things that I'd be really comfortable using this for shorter distances, especially on some unstable terrain. Even though it's not stable, it would save my legs a lot more than a track spike right now. But both are really good options, a little bit more super feeling, a little bit less super feeling, a little bit warmer upper, a little bit more better breathability, but again, a little better midfoot security over in version 11. So honestly, there are some similarities, there are differences. What I really want to know from you, even though I really like version 10 a lot, or sorry, version 11 a lot better, it kind of reminds me of some of the magic of the originals, not quite just because racing flats are so crazy. But I also want to know, if those of you who have run in these shoes, do you agree or disagree with me? Do you like this new version? Do you hate it? What do you think about the old one? I just felt the old one was so medially biased just because it felt like the lateral aspect was so stiff with some of the rods and a little bit of sole flare that it just didn't work as well for me, and version 11 is working so much better. Even though it's on the lower drop side, especially with the softer foam, it's just, again, I keep saying this, I like the bounce more. So let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. As always, the point of these videos is not to sell you a shoe. It's to educate you on, hey, what's going on out there? And I'm only one person. I really want other people to contribute so that people, when they come to these videos, can go, okay, maybe I don't agree with what Matt is saying. Can I go in the comments and see what else are the other experiences there? So please contribute, ask any questions. I'll do my best to get to things. But the whole reason we do this is to help educate you, like I said, and try to help make things a little bit more simple, a little bit more straightforward, give you a little better information so you can get out there, run, try to stay healthy in what's supposed to be a simple sport, and just enjoy it.